days since Richard was forcibly removed from his barracks room there on Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas, because he was a whistleblower. And they took him downstairs to the basement room in the arms room, and they took his life, and they um, stole his body off of Fort Bliss and trafficked it to across international borders to Mexico, to Chihuahua, Mexico, to the city of Juarez. And, you know, that's an act of war. That is a totally act of war because, and it proves that the cartel were infiltrated on Fort Bliss and our military units. So this is, how President Trump is dealing with this is like a warrior, and it's it's unlike any other war because we have that Trojan horse that already was released within our military. So lots going on behind the scene, and a lot of review of CID files because we know that they were tampered with. It is June 20th, 2026, and let me raise this up a little bit. I put it too low. Um, so, absolutely, these CID files have been tampered with, and um, a lot of erasure in there, a lot of whitewashing, a lot of redaction. But we've been going through it because, you can't hide the truth totally. You can't hide the truth totally. So even with the lies, you just have to go through it and um, double check everything, get rid of the lies and see what you have left, and then check that. And what has come out is that the Fort Bliss CID had multiple uh, files open for Richard before July 2020. Okay. Before July 2020, they had already targeted Richard. They had multiple files open for him. Why? Because he was a whistleblower, he was reporting. And so uh, when the arms room, when his life was taken from him, um, they covered up instead of and simulated. I want to really stress that they assimilated when we finally called them to find out where our son was. They started simulating a fake investigation, and they had already had multiple files open for him and were already in cover up mode. And then, they started in their simulation to really cover up officially, right? They had to document then their cover up. And that's why, because there was such a huge delay, uh, where they didn't feel like it was necessary to cover it up because they just wouldn't even notify us. Um, and then when we called, going into a panic mode of um, other other documentation that, and I have to be very careful because they listen, and this is our case. So um, just say that their own work, their own timeline has showed that they premeditatedly targeted Richard. Um, and to silence him and then to erase him. Okay. That is very, very clear. And so I know that that is hard to understand. So we've been putting out information, posting information to give you evidence that we can give you at this time so you can understand. And one of those hard evidences that they can't deny is Richard's promotions. And so that's what I'm saying about weeding out all of uh, the lies and the whitewashing and the manipulation and sticking to hard facts so that you wash away all that other stuff and then you're left with the gold, right? The gold. And so it's kind of like panning for gold, and um, what you have left are hard dates and for the public to understand, Richard's promotions are very, very important because they're very unusual. They're unusual because he was very fast with many waivers to make rank very quickly. And his record, they cannot deny that. And that's why they had to conduct, and it probably was very costly to them. I don't know how much they paid all of the media to conduct a smear campaign on Richard, and how the CID even had to go like on guard mount, right? Which is the police, to give false narratives to the police. Okay. So, and we, of course, have hard evidence of that they actually went and lied to police groups, um, law enforcement groups, uh, about a false narrative, so that people wouldn't look for Richard or wouldn't listen to our questions, wouldn't want to answer our questions. Um, and obstruct justice. That's what they were doing, obstructing justice. So, and for families, you get into a little bit of a panic mode when you're um, in this situation, because you see that what we saw was, because they took Richard off the rolls. When we called, they took him off the rolls, meaning they took him out of anybody's jurisdiction, so that whenever we called anybody, they couldn't help us because Richard was not in their jurisdiction. Richard was in nobody's jurisdiction. And so we had to fight to get Richard back on the Army rolls so that we could put his case in a jurisdiction to get help. So, they were really doing some very evil, nasty things to us at the very beginning. We absolutely knew that something was very seriously wrong because of the way they were treating this whole um, case. We knew it was a cover up. And, uh, we didn't go into, well, I don't want to say we didn't panic. We tried to, well, we did gather all of the resources and the individuals that we could, and went and moved to El Paso to be there to investigate ourselves. And then we were told to investigate ourselves. So we went there to really try to get some help, get those meetings going. And then we were told we were going to have to investigate ourselves. So, and that's what we've been doing. And we've been giving them leads ever since. Huge leads like explain Mayella. Explain Mayella, that's a huge lead. Nadal Baim, that's a huge lead. Bradford Bugado, a huge lead. Layla Bugado and her connection with the El Paso cartel operative and double agent Alejandro de la Vega Foster. Um, Nadal Baim's connections in the AUSA, in the DA's office. Of course, the Palestinian arms dealer, connections with the Hart family. So all of that, it took years of investigating to put all of that, and that's just the tip of the iceberg, to put everything together. And now you see that when we're looking at the gold now, we know what is fake gold, what's not. Uh, what is real gold, right? And we're putting out that information that you'll want to bite into, um, because it's the truth, and there's so little truth in today's simulations and deceptions. Clearly there's a lot of deceptions um, and simulations where you have Congress simulating that they represent people, but behind the scenes they are absolutely doing everything they can to hurt the very people that they're supposed to be representing. So and I think you know going through this, what came to my mind, what came to our mind is, and I'm going on Facebook now to see if I can see everybody. There, I can. Make sure I turn this down. Oh, thank you, Debbie, for coming on so late. Well, that will be changing. Richard will have accountability with our prayers. Thank you, Debbie. And, God's hand has been all over this because of prayer warriors like you, like us. We're praying all the time. And they never wanted us to find out who Nadal Baim was. That is like one of my biggest examples of answered prayers. And wow, was that a wowzer? That was such a wowzer. And he is like key. He's central to our son's case because he connects the Strait of Hormuz with Richard's command, with the prime suspects, and taking his life to the DA's office, to the federal prosecutor's office, to the cartel, to, of course, all the cross border, transnational border activity. Um, y- you know, uh, he is really central to all of this. And it was by the grace of God that we found out who he was. Okay. It was just a miracle. It really was. Um, Yeah. Really emotional how that all happened. So that was a great gift. And then, um, and because it put everything together, it made us understand so much. And it shows that Maru Campos, the governor of Chihuahua, um, it helped us understand the latest CID, um, not the CID, the CIA agents that were killed over there in the ambush. And of course, John Black and Richard Johnston. Um, they are rogue agents, okay? They're rogue agents. And the whole thing with Nadal Baim made us realize with the Bradford Bugado, you have rogue commanders, right? You have a mutiny going on. There is a cartel globalist, and it's very interesting because it's being reported now that the globalists are a cartel. Okay, they are a terroristic organization, and that's not me. That is being reported. And I can confirm that that's true, right? We can confirm that that's true in our son's case. And so, and why, they have an agenda to be globalists, and that's why they have no regard for the Mexican sovereignty, the Mexican national sovereignty, and also the United States national sovereignty. That's how Alejandro de la Vega Foster can be an operative for the El Paso cartel and be a double agent and be a sociopath, really, not caring because she has this globalist agenda. And she is, of course, allied with Maru Campos, and Maru Campos had on her payroll CIA agents, FBI agents, DEA agents, ATF agents, CBP agents, DPS, the Texas Rangers, and giving them office space and conducting rogue and unauthorized operations, like this latest drone operation, because Richard Johnston was a drone operator. Drones are a big deal on the border, along with this whole Centella surveillance grid, right? So the surveillance grid requires all the cameras, the drones, and also the Pegasus. And then when you have all of that surveillance data, then you need an AI operated 20-story tower, right? That is powered by AI to memorize and organize and analyze and weaponize all of that data, so that they can continue with their globalist agenda. And that globalist agenda is very evil. It's very evil and it's very demonic. And so this brought to mind, with more of our investigation, Gabriella again. And I want to play that video right now for you.
¡Comieron humanos! ¡Asquerosidad! ¡Comieron humanos! Yo no estaba enterada de nada. Que había, o sea, de los asesinatos sí, pero que habían comido humanos. ¡Humanos! Fue la carne humana.
So, let me get the picture up where I put it. There we go. So this is the picture of Gabriel Jimenez, and her story was brought back, because we don't know where she's at. Okay, she disappeared. She totally disappeared. And her story was brought back up because of the Epstein files and what the Epstein files revealed. And the Epstein files are starting to come out again, because of the gold nuggets that you find in them. And the one thing that you see is that the authorities now are admitting and have to admit that they have nothing against President Trump in all of this. Now, that's not me saying it. I'm very happy to hear that. Very happy to hear that. We've been over those files, um, and of course, we released many, especially that Jeffrey Epstein was had multiple hats. That shows you that they are globalists. This is what really stands out for us, is the biggest indication when someone is a globalist is when they're a double agent, right? When they're a double agent, when they're a triple, so you see like Michael Mayella being in the DA's office, in the FBI's office, in the Walmart cyber security, having these multiple hats. And then you have uh, David Scott Frost, who was the lead FBI investigator for the Walmart mass shooting, that also was a senior NCO in 1st Armored Division under Sean Bernabe in the headquarters division under Sean Bernabe. At the very same time as he was lead FBI um, uh, over the Walmart mass shooting. And at the very same time that him and his, I guess, FBI partner and being lead investigators with the Walmart mass shooting, Todd Petkus and David Frost were witnessed in the Fiscalia with Carlos Manuel Salas and giving directions that they needed to, um, or Carlos Manuel Salas, the prosecutor for Chihuahua, that was picked by Maru Campos, okay? And he's, such a criminal, and he lives in El Paso. But that he was not to do anything with Richard's case and helping to find Richard's remains. And that was given to him, that message was given to him by the lead FBI investigators for the Walmart case. And don't forget, active duty military. So we have the CIA agents that were killed, one of them being a former Marine, right? And what do they have in common? Well, they have in common this Chihuahuan Mormon faction connection. Okay, this globalist connection, these multiple hats, right? Oh, okay, I can be a former Marine, but I can be on the payroll in Chihuahua, Mexico, um, um, walking around with my M4 fully automatic military grade rifle that's illegal. But who cares? Because I don't care about Mexican sovereignty and its laws. I can do what I want with the whatever the cartel tell me, and I can go on unauthorized rogue operations, and then um, yeah, so it's these multiple hats. Um, and of course, John Kelly, the former Marine general, 4-star general, also a double agent, working for Maru Campos as a security analyst. Um, that's so illegal, right? It's just so illegal. So, this is how you can tell someone is a globalist or has a globalist agenda. They will be, have multiple hats. And one in the Jeffrey Epstein files, coming back to that now, very clearly what it tells you is that Jeffrey Epstein was Mossad, but Jeffrey Epstein was CIA, but Jeffrey Epstein was uh what else was he? CIA and Mossad, and then he was everything, right? He was everything. Um and whatever needed to be for whatever country. Was he MI6? Was Jeffrey Epstein MI6? Uh, you know, uh, there would be no doubt in my mind that with his connections with the royal family and everything like that. Um, they probably have files on him and whatever. But and why does that matter? Because they are just using the resources for those intelligence agencies. The CIA, the FBI, the Mossad and the MI6 and all those intelligence agencies from these different countries. They have these huge resources, be it money or and access to intelligence files. They don't have to go through FOIAs like we do or whatever. They have access, and that's why um, you see Maru Campos signing the treasonous treaty with Governor Abbott, because they were giving access to the cartels, to those intelligence databases, okay, and also to visas, so that visas could produce driver's license and bank accounts and business ownership and home ownership and all of that in the United States to exploit the American system, the American economy. So that's what they were doing, exploiting every intelligence agency, exploiting the resources and the access that was given to them. So there was not, and then of course, the sovereign countries too. And this is why Maru Campos is under investigation for treason to the homeland, because clearly she was exploiting her position in Chihuahua as a Chihuahuan governor, and not loyal to the people, not loyal to Chihuahua, but had a different globalist agenda against the sovereignty of Mexico. And I would say, participated in acts of war against the United States, because bringing forth a four-star general in your security advisory part of your administration, and then having secret payrolls and paying American agents uh, to conduct rogue operations, and is that the agenda of this Mormon faction? Because we know that the Mormon faction split, and of course, you have a huge Mormon faction that wants to control Israel. That's why you have this between the globalists there in Chihuahua, this very cozy relationship to Israeli companies like Pegasus, giving the Torah Centella development of that huge tower to a Mexican Israeli individual, you know, developer. So you have this cozy, and we know that the Mormon faction has a very cozy relationship with infiltrated um, group in Israel. But that's the same in the United States. That's the same thing in Mexico. That's the same thing in the Middle East. That's the same thing in the islands, right? Like um, Samoa, like Samoa is a great example. And it's no coincidence that the prime suspects are Samoan, because they have this connection, this common denominator with this Mormon faction group. And, now we have LaBaron, Alex La, and I hope I'm saying his name right, Alex LeBaron. He was now hard evidence that he was harboring the CEO Armando Rosas of Aros, the fraudster jerk, right? The fraudster jerk, the Ponzi schemer jerk. What do you want to call him? He's, I don't want to give him any nice name because he um, scammed people out of millions and millions of dollars, and then he's harbored by this guy that says he's a representative, right? He's a representative of the people of Mexico, but he's harboring the very person that stole millions of dollars from the people of Mexico. So this is why I'm saying it's assimilation, and these are globalists. They don't love their country. They don't love the people because they would not be harboring someone that stole millions of dollars when they're a fugitive, when they have $5 million reward for him to be turned in, and then of course a big peso payout to Carlos Manuel Salas and Cesar Haragi, to, cover it all up that he was harboring him, and then allow through an I-94, which we've posted up, for him to just walk into the United States. Just walk into the United States. And of course, we know that Connell Wetton is part of this globalist Mormon faction, and he's the um, look, he was in the Mexican consulate. He was a liaison, an FBI liaison for the Mexican consulate for Ciudad Juarez, for cybersecurity, for, um, eh, what? Controlling the purchasing or facilitating the purchasing of the Pegasus into Chihuahua. What was he doing? Helping out, um, eh, developing this tower that is pointed straight at Fort Bliss, and all, has access to all, 10,000 cameras and drone operations and everything against the people of both Mexico and the United States at the border. Um, you know, and we know that he is totally connected to the cartel. We have hard evidence that Connell Wetton is connected to the cartel. And he's from what? Colonial Juarez, Colonial Dublin, Nova Casa Grandes. These are Nova Casa Grandes is like the headquarters for La Linea. This is the Mormon stronghold. And Labron is known to be part of this Mormon faction. And we have confirmed that both Todd Petkus and um, David Scott Frost are part of this Mormon faction, and of course you have the surnames of John Black and Richard Johnston that totally indicates they're part of this Mormon faction of the Chihuahuans that settled in Mexico. And it makes sense because that's where their loyalty is with this global agenda that I guess this Mormon faction has. This globalist agenda and no regard for the nation states that they're working for. But no, they are just exploiting those positions and all the resources that come with it. And that's been very, very clear. And it is for a very evil agenda, and that's very clear in the life and the connections of Jeffrey Epstein. And, of course, his Zorro Ranch is right there. And he was in Ciudad Juarez. He had his parties right there at the consulate office. And Connell Wetton maybe have went to them because he was a liaison to that consulate office. And so this is a small group of that really want to do the people a lot of harm, that want to have countries, national countries, and national loyalties. And this is the damage that they've been doing by being these double agents, these triple hatters, these double hatters, these quadruple hatters. And they clearly, by having all of these connections, show that they have loyalty to none of them, but then to a globalist agenda, meaning, maybe they want to take over, like maybe it's a coup. Maybe they want to take over territory, right? Take over territory. Um, where are they going to get their resources then from? I don't know, because uh, looking at all of their money laundering and all of their the ways they get money, um, it seems that their whole the reality of it is that they're exploiters, right? They're thieves, they're exploiters, they're Ponzi schemers, and that's why they're protecting this Ponzi schemer, right? But I think that Gabriella here, um, she revealed a lot, and I hope she's okay. I hope she's okay and hiding somewhere. So, so the other point that I've been bringing up is of Richard. His birthday's coming up, and um, a petition for review uh, to honor him with medals. Um, I really feel like our family is very behind this to ask for a review, um, because I think that the um, requirements, everything that needs to be in place are there for Richard. And I believe, and I'm speaking for our family here, that he should be honored with medals. Um, so we're really uh, wanting to have your feedback on that. Um, and it's a little touchy because uh, when you put in the request for him, you have to put it in with the likes of like Veronica Escobar and Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz and um, William Timmons, Uh, so, and your congressional, wherever you are. And I want to, and, looking at this petition, we were um, wanting it to be, from different countries because we feel like Richard is an international case. And so the petition will not just be limited to the United States. He needs to be decorated by the international world, right? And so we've been really talking about this, and really would love to hear your feedback, because is the time right that the pressure would be there? I guess they would be driven to look at the record, because the record is very, very clear for Richard. Stellar soldier targeted by the CID. That's clear today, by um, all the hard documented um, gold pieces left behind after you kind of wash away all the tampering, shows clearly that Richard was a whistleblower that was targeted by the CID, um, and that he absolutely was reporting on the orchestrated Walmart mass shooting, and that the military, the cartel, had infiltrated our military and orchestrated that to frame it, to weaponize it against President Trump, to sabotage his 2020 reelection. And that's why it's such a sensitive. I mean, you can imagine that's so sensitive information today. But we really want to put that review in. I think the time is right, but we do want to hear from everybody. So thank you on that one. So let me read the comments by uh, Debbie here. Thank you so much, Debbie, for coming on so late. You are right. They are all against humanity. It's truly an amazing story, and the subject is horrifying. All mama bears should be backing you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. The cartel provides their wish list for evil, from government to freak clubs in Hollywood. It will tie all main connections. Yeah. And, uh, Rafael Arliano Caron is also very key in all of this because of his restaurants, his nightclubs, his his construction company, along with the Plenitude Crematorium connection with the flesh peddling funeral home, group purchase fraudsters, right? And this is tied to, and he's tied to the City Magazine. He shares office space with the El Paso Community Foundation, El Paso Matters, and Bob Moore. So he's very tied to the El Paso cartel. And and also with Maru Campos, because Maru Campos's mother was the for for better, I don't know the exact translation, but she's like the health inspector, right? She was in charge of the inspections and permits and licenses for Plenitude Crematorium, and she let them operate without any inspections, which caused, pollution in the water source because they were just directly draining right into the Juarez water, public water sewer. Um, so, no inspections, no permit, total filth, no potable water, um, no air condition. I mean, just a warehouse of dead bodies left to rot there. And what they were doing with them, with the flesh peddling and with their multiple different flesh peddling funeral homes and the fraud. And of course, it's 2020. You know what was going on in 2019 and 2020 and 2021, and really exploiting the system on that one. So these people are just the worst. They're just really, really the worst. Argo Oil and Gas, he is. Just a lot, his breakfast a restaurant is still operating right now, and um, you know, um, he's very key in all of this with the connections. So I think he's like the financial boss in this cartel network, or conglomerate. I would say a cartel conglomerate. Maybe even call it a colony. Maybe they're trying to colonize. That's what it seems like they're trying to do. Is colonize Mexico and the United States. Um, so yeah, this is so many very key people, and it really just comes back to doing what is right. To I think that is so powerful, and it drives them to give us justice. And so that's why it comes back to Richard, because what he did was right. And getting an awards is the right thing to do. and it's I think it would expose a lot of things too, but it would also, more importantly, honor Richard for his bravery. So, and his stand. Absolutely, yes. May you get all of them for your loss. Yes, thank you. Also, a post with Richard's name on it inside the Museum of Treason. It's coming. Everyone will know your son's name. Thank you so much. Yeah, Richard is an amazing American hero. You may be making a movie, Mama Bear. Thank you. It's a cabal. Yeah, a cabal. I think that's a good word. Yeah, Gabriel was screaming. I didn't really want to say what she was saying because it was there on the screen. But they're pretty demonic. And it's not limited to just Mexico. This is happening, and with all the globalists, it seems like it's part of uh, their rituals and of course, Jeffrey Epstein said it was ritualistic. So, and of course, his island was very ritualistic, and it's going to come out. I guess it's going to come out. What Zorro Ranch is all about, right? What Zorro Ranch, because I know there's a lot of tunnels under Zorro Ranch. So, yeah, there seems to be things going on there too, and that is right beside Beto O'Rourke's family ranch. And of course, Arliano Caron's house right beside Beto O'Rourke. So, yeah, they're all very connected and just up to no good. And I think we need to do whatever we can to call them out and stop it because they hurt so many people. They hurt so many people. Look, and they hurt the economy. They let that CEO Aris Armando Rosas just walk over to the United States when there was 5 million pesos for him because he was a fugitive. So yeah. It's very clear. I think all the truth is coming out. So thank you so much, everybody. God bless.